He really liked it. So that became something they did all the time, and other people were kind of nervous or scared of them. People were really careful around the business, but more than anything, you just go on a crazy ride with both of those movies, and I just loved them so much. Ron Howard has lived in Hollywood longer than most people have even been alive. He started as Opie on The Andy Griffith Show when he was only 6 years old. By the time he made his first movie as a director, he'd already spent 20 years watching how amazing actors worked. And action. I thought today was way better. Are you crazy? Act with each other. Are you crazy? That gave him something really special in Hollywood. He could see things from both sides. Standing on set as a kid, I learned to understand actors before I learned to direct them. Howard once said, "I sure do. How could I ever forget? It's like it's burned into my memory. Oh man, it's such a good story." Most directors learn about movie theory or acting on stage. Howard learned about surviving. He watched famous actors deal with stress, being famous, and how honest the camera is. When Howard started directing, he brought that knowledge with him. He knew what actors needed because he'd needed those same things himself. Staying calm when things got crazy, trusting people when nothing's going right. The ability to mess up without being judged. These 7 actors gave Howard more than just great acting. This is Houston. Say that again, please. Houston, we have a problem. We have a main bus problem. They showed him things he hadn't thought of before. They made him think differently about what acting in movies could be. Some became friends who worked with him many times. Others only worked with him once, but changed him forever. Here are the actors Ron Howard respects more than anyone else, not just because they're talented, but because they taught him how to be a better director. Number 7. Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe scared Ron Howard at first, but not for the reasons you might think. You do have a name. My name is Gladiator. When they started working on A Beautiful Mind, Howard knew Crowe had a reputation for being hard to work with. What he found instead was an actor who cared so much about doing it right that he'd argue about every little thing. Tom Hanks or Russell Crowe, it depends on what you need. 2 amazing artists, but you know, there's just something really special in that friendship. Russell doesn't argue with you because he's stubborn, Howard explained. He argues because he's already living inside that character's mind. Crowe showed up on set after studying mental illness for months. He'd talked to math experts, visited hospitals, and built John Nash from the inside out. Howard had never seen anyone prepare that much. What impressed Howard most was Crowe's bravery with showing weakness. Playing a genius who's losing touch with reality could have been big and dramatic. Crowe made it personal and sad instead. He wasn't scared to look confused, afraid, or broken. That takes courage most action stars don't have. Crowe taught Howard that difficult actors aren't always trouble. Sometimes they're just protecting the truth they're trying to show. Yeah, Russell was, on a very short list. And Brian and I, when Crowe disagreed with a scene, it wasn't about his ego. It was his gut telling him something didn't feel right. Howard learned to listen to those feelings. Their work together won Crowe an Oscar and taught Howard something important. The best actors don't make your job easier, they make your movie better, even when that means tough conversations. Number 6. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks became Ron Howard's secret weapon, though neither of them planned it that way. Their partnership started with Splash in 1984, when Hanks was still known mostly for being funny. Shut up, I am a scientist. Howard saw something else under the comedy. He saw an actor who could make audiences believe in anything, even mermaids. You know, Tom's got to do his part. Yeah. I start trying to explain the action to him and I go, there's a drone and it's coming. Tom has this special gift of making impossible things feel normal. Howard said, Put him in a spaceship or chasing old symbols, and suddenly it all feels like it could happen to your neighbor. That ability became really important to Howard's storytelling. He makes big ideas feel like normal life. What makes their partnership work is how efficient they are. After 5 movies together, they created a language that didn't need words. Howard could give Hanks a tiny nod, and Hanks would change his acting without needing an explanation. That kind of shortcut saves time and keeps energy for the tough problems. Hanks taught Howard that great leading actors don't take over scenes, they hold them steady. In Apollo 13, Hanks could have played the hero's journey with big movements. Instead, he played a professional doing his job in impossible situations. That calmness made the danger feel more real. Howard keeps going back to Hanks because trust is like money in movie making. When you know exactly what you're getting, you can take chances with everything else. Number 5. Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton showed Ron Howard what happens when you let craziness into the system and trust it to make something beautiful. Their first time working together on Night Shift proved that Keaton worked on a different level than most actors. I don't know what that means. 2. Okay, 2. And Sean, of course, he'd take a simple scene and find 17 different ways to make it interesting. Michael doesn't follow the script like a map. Howard noticed. He treats it like a suggestion and then finds shortcuts nobody else would think of taking. Keaton would make up lines, create physical comedy, and somehow never lose the emotional heart of what the scene needed. 1 or 2 movies, but very early in my career, there was a side story that I just loved. That balance is almost impossible to do. What surprised Howard was Keaton's range. People saw him as a comedian, but Howard saw dramatic depth hiding behind the humor. Keaton could break your heart while making you laugh at the same time. That double ability became really important for Howard's understanding of casting people in unexpected roles. Keaton taught Howard to welcome the unexpected on set. Not every surprise is bad. Sometimes an actor goes away from the script and finds something better than what was written. The director's job isn't to control that energy, it's to know when magic happens and catch it. Howard learned from Keaton that the wildest choices often lead to the most honest moments. Number 4. Ed Harris. Ed Harris taught Ron Howard that some actors approach their work like engineers solving hard problems, beginning of brain problems. What about the air filters on the command module? They take square cartridges. The ones on the lunar module are round. When Harris joined Apollo 13 as Gene Kranz, he didn't just learn lines. He studied how flight works, talked to NASA people, and understood every technical detail his character would have known. Ed builds characters the way builders make houses. Howard explained, foundation first, then walls, then all the details that make it livable. Harris never took the easy way. If his character wore a specific vest in real life, Harris wanted that exact vest. If Kranz had a certain way of standing in mission control, Harris found that posture and made it his own. What amazed Howard most was Harris's dependability. Some brilliant actors have bad days or need extra tries to find their rhythm. Harris showed up fully, ready every single morning. He knew his lines, understood his character's thinking, and gave consistent greatness, take after take. Harris showed Howard that research isn't about showing off what you know. It's about building confidence so deep that you can forget you're acting. When Harris spoke technical NASA language in Apollo 13, he wasn't just saying dialogue. He was talking as someone who really understood those systems. Howard learned from Harris that preparation creates freedom, not limits. Number 3. Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington taught Ron Howard something deep without them ever working together much. God, I'm sorry, Mr. Whitaker. I couldn't hear you. What did Howard watch? Washington's career from the director's chair on other projects, studying how some actors get respect just by being in a scene. Washington doesn't grab attention. Attention finds him naturally. Denzel has this quality that can't be taught or faked. Howard said, when he enters a shot, Everyone else naturally understands who's in charge, not because he demands it, but because he earns it, with every choice he makes. Howard noticed that Washington never wastes energy proving himself. He just lives in his roles with so much authority that doubt becomes impossible. What amazed Howard was Washington's ability to balance strength with gentleness. In movies like Glory and Malcolm X, Washington could give fierce intensity in one scene and quiet weakness in the next. Both felt equally real. That emotional range without visible effort impressed Howard deeply. Washington showed Howard what true screen presence looks like. It's not about being the loudest or most dramatic. It's about making every moment count. Every line land with meaning. Even Washington's silences say so much. Howard learned from watching Washington that some actors don't need direction, because they've already found the truth before cameras start rolling. Number 2. Daniel Bruhl. Daniel Bruhl surprised Ron Howard in ways he didn't expect. When casting Rush, Howard needed someone to play Niki Lauda, the Austrian Formula One driver known for brutal honesty and technical genius. Bruhl changed so completely that Howard sometimes forgot he was directing an actor. Daniel didn't just study Lauda's habits, Howard remembered. He took in the man's entire way of thinking, his accent, his brutally logical way of seeing the world. Bruhl spent months researching, watching race videos, and understanding what made Lauda tick. By the time filming started, Lauda himself said Bruhl had captured him perfectly. What impressed Howard most was Bruhl's fearlessness with unlikable qualities. Lauda wasn't warm or nice. He was cold, calculating, and sometimes mean in his honesty. Bruhl didn't soften those rough edges to make the character more appealing. He trusted that truth would be more interesting than being likable. Bruhl taught Howard that European actors often bring different tools to their work. They focus less on being relatable and more on being accurate. They're willing to disappear completely into someone else's skin, even when that person isn't very nice. Howard learned from Bruhl that the best performances sometimes come from actors you've never heard of. Howard learned from Hopkins that some actors don't need directors. They need someone to say, "Action," and stay out of their way. Hopkins makes Howard feel like a witness to genius rather than its guide. Number 1. Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins taught Ron Howard that the greatest acting often means doing less, not more. Howard has watched Hopkins work from far away for decades, studied his performances frame by frame, and learned that true mastery looks easy because it's built on total control. Tony can communicate entire emotional worlds with the smallest movement of his eyes. Howard said, "Most actors push to make sure you feel what they're feeling. Hopkins pulls you in so close you can't look away. That magnetic quality comes from precision. Every choice Hopkins makes helps the character, never the actor's ego." What amazed Howard most was Hopkins's preparation method. Hopkins memorizes his lines hundreds of times until they become natural thought rather than said dialogue. By the time cameras roll, he's not performing words. He's thinking about them for the first time. That technique creates naturalness within total control. Hopkins showed Howard that great actors make directors look brilliant by making difficult scenes look simple. When Hopkins plays a scene, the technical difficulty disappears. All you see is human behavior captured perfectly. That's the highest level of skill. Howard learned from Hopkins that the final goal of acting isn't to impress anyone. It's to make people forget they're watching a performance at all. When that happens, you've seen something close to magic. Ron Howard started as a child actor and became one of Hollywood's most respected directors. Along the way, these 7 performers showed him that great acting isn't about tricks or techniques. It's about truth, preparation, and the courage to be vulnerable on camera. They didn't just give him performances, they gave him masterclasses in his own craft. If you enjoyed learning about Howard's favorites, hit that subscribe button for more insights into Hollywood's greatest collaborations.